Monday evening, everyone. Welcome to Bowling with the Fef, a platform for you to share your unique bowling story, all live on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you're live right now with us on this Monday evening or on replay. We appreciate it either way. Remember, you can subscribe to this channel. It's totally free. Lower right-hand corner, you'll find the logo, the white square with my face on it, the acronym, I guess you could call it BWTF. Subscribe to the channel, like this video if you like. When you subscribe, you will get the notifications if you hit the bell and be first to know when we post new videos. Go live for live streams, which we will do plenty of in the future. Lots of great content that is in the plan, in the hopper right now for the weeks and months ahead, and I can't wait to share it all with you. We are full speed ahead as far as the PBA season is concerned. Today there was a PTQ out in Michigan at the David Smalls Best of the Best Championship in Jackson, Michigan. Frank Snodgrass led that 6-game qualifier. They took 17 guys into the main tournament, including Martin Larson, Mike Eaton Jr., Zach Tackett, Kevin McCune, J.R. Raymond, Wesley Lowe, Kevin Williams, and several others. So congrats to those folks who made it on to the regular tournament, and good luck to them as they start up competition in Michigan for that David Smalls tournament, which I'm sure will be highly contested as PBA Tour tournaments usually are. If you've seen our show before, you know that Bowling with the Fef is brought to you by Chip Magnet Salsa. It's a local company right here in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, a family business distributing salsa and relishes and lots of other food products to 38 states and Canada. In the Sheboygan area, you can find it at Festival Foods, Piggly Wiggly, and Woodman's. And if it's not at your neighborhood store, either ask for it by name or go to the website, chipmagnetsalsa.com, and they will take your order and send you one heck of a good product. It has been a great partner to Bowling with the Fef, and let me tell you, like I said, we don't peddle bad products around here. So give it a shot. Let us know what you think. Chip Magnet Salsa, raise your snack standards. Well, we have a guest tonight, one of few people across the country, one of few USBC members to have a certified 900 series in his on his resume. He is Cody Schmitt. And as the title would let you know, he shot that high number on the end pair at Anchor Lanes in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, where he's from. He's also the pro shop operator there. He's a coach. And Cody, it's a pleasure to have you on Bowling with the Fef tonight.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, and I do have to say I really like that intro music when I was coming on. It really got me in the mood to be on this show. But thank you for having me. It's an honor and a privilege.
Yeah, thank you. No, I love it too. Thanks to the fine folks at StreamYard for I guess giving us some assets to work with. One of those countdowns being one of them. It kind of gets me a little jazzed up too. So I'm glad they did that. Let's start out with something that's kind of fresh in all of our minds, and that's the U.S. Open. A lot of folks saw it yesterday on FS1. They saw Anthony Simonson defeat E.J. Tackett to take his third major at age 25, which is pretty close to where you're at. He's a little younger than you are, but I guess tell me your thoughts on a guy who's already got 3 majors at age 25. That's an amazing accomplishment, wouldn't you say?
You know, I can't imagine how you feel, but it's a really odd feeling, seeming how as I feel so young, my age kind of says it, but it's odd seeing someone younger than you do so well out on the PBA Tour. I mean, he won his first major at what, 19? So
something like that. Yeah.
I mean, just to see the way he's able to do things is quite incredible. And he's got so many different styles that he can use. He can throw out the backup ball at you. I mean, how many competitors out on the PBA Tour can throw the backup ball at you? So Anthony Simonson is a freak of nature, and you know, I'm sure he's going to add plenty more majors, and if not titles, to his resume, you know, by the time he's all done.
Yeah. I believe, are you guys both roto grip guys? staffers?
I'm through Storm, so essentially we're still SPI sort of members, so kind of
Okay.
half teammates, so to say. But yeah, we're
Same
still able to throw kind of the
family?
same equipment. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever met him?
I have not met Anthony. I know
Okay.
he's dating Morgan Petrin, who I know Mason Petrin quite a bit, so his
Oh.
sister. Have not met Simo though.
Okay, fair enough. When all of this started, and I say all of this like there's so much of it, but I mean you coming on the show. I was having a conversation with one of our past guests, episode
Hmm.
14, Mark Wilkerman, who is one of the others in the 38 to shoot 900 and have it USBC certified. Actually, there are 4 in the state of Wisconsin, and he is one of those.
Hmm.
He told me he stopped over at Anchor Lanes, wanted to, kind of chat you up and introduce himself to you.
Hmm.
And I asked him earlier today, I said, "What's your impression of him?" And he told me that you had an old school flavor. And what he means by that is that you carried yourself well, that you're very respectful, humble, and a true gentleman. Which are great compliments, I would think. So I got to ask, what your reaction to that is, and where you think that kind of thing comes from.
To see something like that is, it definitely it means a lot to me, because obviously that's what I want to be all about. I want to go about this whole situation the right way. I want to go about my game and who I am the right way. And I think my high school students will tell you that, because that's the first thing I tell them when they're bowling is, you don't let an attitude affect you. Obviously you might have thrown a bad ball or whatever the case is, but you're not gonna do anything by having that bad attitude. So that's something I preach to the kids, but it certainly means a lot to have someone say that about you. But I certainly get that from my parents. They definitely instilled manners and respect from such a young age on me. And it's something that I certainly feel incredibly proud to have those sorts of qualities to me.
Yeah. What was it like to have that conversation with Mark? Like I said, 2 of the 4 in Wisconsin to have that, that similar feeling of
Hmm.
having a 900 series.
So I kind of saw a man come up to the bar, sit kind of behind me. Kind of someone said, "Oh, he's got a ring on." It's like, okay, well, I kind of had a premonition right away that it had to have been someone else in that club, and someone's like, "Oh, it's a 300 ring." It's like, I'm sure it's a 900 bowler. So he kind of sat behind, and I don't think I was having the best night. I made a couple ball changes. I was just trying to find something. Um, I started with the front 7. I think I had a comfortable 7 that night. I had the front 7. I think I left some sort of 10 pin or something like that. All of a sudden, he got up from his chair, kind of walked towards me. It's like, so he's got to be someone, as he's walking towards me, and he comes up to me. He goes, um, you have a great game to you. And he goes, "Did you get your 900 ring yet?" I was like, "I have not yet. It should be, I don't know when I'm going to get it. It might be soon." He goes, "Well, did it look something like this?" And he pulls it out, and obviously he's wearing it, which I don't think I'm brave enough to really wear my 900 rings at all. But he, he introduced himself as Mark, and obviously, like he said, I had a great game to me. Obviously, he said with a couple tweaks, you could be really, really good. But I mean, that's everybody as well.
Mhm.
Everybody who bowls can make a couple tweaks and be really, really good. But um, it was very surreal to have someone part of the same club, kind of reach out to you and talk to you. My dad got an impromptu picture with me and him, so um, something that is interesting and quite memorable from that night. But yeah, he was a really nice guy. He said he actually has a place here in Elkhart Lake. So
Mhm.
but yeah, very, very nice guy. Very respectful, very humble himself as well. So can't say enough good things about obviously the one time that I've met him, but he's a great guy.
Yeah, and for folks who aren't familiar, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin is near Sheboygan. If you've ever heard of Road America, that's right near Elkhart Lake, and it's a fantastic little community on the eastern side of the state, and it's of course Cody's hometown. So you don't come out of the womb and shoot 900. So let's talk about kind of your bowling story and how it all started. What how and when and where did you first get into the sport of bowling?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I think we pretty much grew up at the bowling alley. I think there's countless pictures of me falling asleep at the bar, or whatever the case is. Just the fact that I lived here. Obviously, I started bowling when I was 4 years old. Came up through the ranks. Started out as a bumper bowler, then kind of progressed. And I think the interesting thing about me is I was never, so to say, the outstanding bowler. That maybe obviously I'm a fairly good bowler today, but I was never, that great bowler coming through the ranks. I was always maybe the second best bowler on my team coming through junior league and in high school. And I think things started kind of turning around maybe my junior year of high school. I started to really kind of put the work in, really started to just grind and just try and study the game and just try and make myself a little bit better. And I did. Never really did anything as far as like high school state tournament or anything like that. I always made it the cut as far as singles, but was never really able to perform, kind of with, so to say, the big lights on. I did win the 2014 Youth Open Championship in the singles portion. That's kind of hand in hand with junior gold. You're able to, it's basically like the Open Championships as the adult. But was able to win that with 713 as an 18-year-old kid. I was recruited to go to UW Whitewater and Robert Morris University out of Chicago, Illinois. Kind of realized that school wasn't the thing for me. I was never the person that enjoyed school or anything like that. So, kind of just stayed around home, kind of messed around with a tech college in Manitowoc County. But for me right now, I mean, it's basically just the pro shop coaching and kind of working in the bowling alley here. But my life has been ingrained with Anchor Lanes. I came with the place actually when my parents owned it. As you said, my family does own the bowling alley here. So I started working here, I believe it was in September of 2012 or maybe 2012. I started working here. My family bought it in November of 2013. So I came with the place. I have tenure over them, which is great. But yeah, I mean, my entire life has basically been in this building.
Yeah. When you were first starting out, were there coaches that kind of helped you proceed and grow your game?
Yeah, I mean, I've had plenty of coaches over my bowling career. I think the two that kind of come to mind are Tony and Heather Barber. They were managers here for quite a long time. I think they really made the junior league program what it is today because of their hard work and dedication that went into this place in this building. So, they were kind of my first ones. My predecessor to the pro shop, Steve, he was a great coach and mentor to me. Obviously when you have some parents that kind of grow up in the bowling industry as well, they're great coaches as well. I wouldn't say you more or less listen to your coach when he's your dad. But he's done a great part of the bowler that I am today as well. So plenty of coaches. Obviously I can't thank them enough because without them, I wouldn't be who I am today. So a lot of this goes back to them as well.
Yeah, my dad was my coach back in the day, so I know exactly what you mean.
Yes. You don't really listen to them too well.
Yeah, until you realize, oh, maybe they might know something here.
Maybe they were right. Yes.
Yeah, and then you have that moment of clarity or whatever you want to call it, and
Yes.
and things go in a different direction from there. Small town, small center, 12-lane house. What is the junior scene like there when you're kind of going up through the ranks at Anchor Lanes?
This might be a two-part question. Before COVID, it was absolutely unreal. I think for a 12-lane center, we had 90 something kids. I mean, we had a third of the kids in Sheboygan County Junior League program through Anchor Lanes as a small 12-lane center. That's a lot of kids to be kind of having in here and putting out through our program. So, our program before COVID was unbelievable. Kind of after COVID, obviously it's dwindled down. We're kind of ramping back up and getting into the scene again. But, the bowlers that we have here through the Junior League are very, very impressive. We have a couple seniors here now, for the high school team that, this is the first kind of group that I've seen kind of, obviously we bought the establishment in 2013. So this is the good first kind of group of kids that I've seen from, their younger days all the way through the high school program. So they're fundamentally sound. They're great bowlers in their own rights. And we have a good group kind of coming up. Our bumper bowling program is full at this point. We have, I think, 6 lanes of bumper bowlers. So, and 4 or 5 per lane. So that's 20, 30 bumper league bowlers that we have. And then bantams, we have a lot of kids that are kind of getting their first ball, which is always exciting to see that they're wanting to progress in the sport, So, I think we have a good kind of foundation for, a lot of great bowlers in their own rights kind of coming up through the ranks.
Yeah. When, I've had a couple of other guests on who, had family that owned a center, had parents that owned a center. And the question that I like to kind of get into is there's that perception that you should be good because your parents have the center. You mentioned before that there was a point where you really started grinding. So here's another 2-part question for you. Is there a lot of pressure in that, knowing that perception lives out there that, hey, Cody's supposed to be good because his parents have the center? And when you say I started grinding and working harder, what does that mean?
Well, I think not only is there pressure from my family owning the center, but, also you're a pro shop operator. So it's also expected that since you're a pro shop operator, you obviously need to be good to be able to, drill bowling balls for customers and that sort of thing. So there certainly is pressure. Not that I necessarily think about it quite a bit, but there definitely is pressure. Now, when I say I started grinding, and obviously when I was younger, I spent a lot of time bowling regardless. But I think there was a point in time where I realized, like those people on TV, I would certainly love to be one of those people on TV kind of growing up. So, it kind of went from kind of having fun while you're bowling to, okay, let's try and get down to business. Let's try and figure out, obviously when you first start getting into it, what makes the ball hook? Now, okay, now I mastered kind of hooking the ball. Now let's focus on kind of hitting our target and kind of getting a little bit more consistent. Okay, great. So I would say kind of once I got to the middle school age, around high school, then I started bowling probably 2 times a week, 3 times a week, that sort of thing. And just kind of focusing on being consistent. And not only does being consistent, obviously, and I'm sure as well, but being consistent isn't always kind of hitting your mark. It's good mechanics, making sure your mechanics are always the same. So, I would say there's certainly been my game. I would consult. I'm very much on the side of the ball instead of up the back. So for me, it was kind of just getting consistently, focused on that sort of thing, not necessarily changing my game to get up the back, but just trying to be consistent around the ball, because everybody has their own unique style. That's my own unique style. I want to try and make that work. So that's kind of been my focus, is just trying to be consistent with, my style.
And I'm nodding along because I understand that concept. I just don't really know how to execute that concept.
Yes.
So much.
There's a lot of people that don't, myself included. There are nights where I do not know how to execute that as well. So You're not alone.
That's good to know. Was there a high school team when you were going through high school?
Yeah. So I've been involved in the high school program, I think, since I was in 7th grade. We had sort of a JV program. So I was in JV. It was either 6th or 7th grade. I was in the JV program, kind of progressing through. My memory is a little fuzzy about those points in time. Kind of progressed then, obviously freshman year. Freshman year was a little bit of a struggle for me. I kind of hurt my shoulder freshman year, strained something kind of in this area. So I wasn't really able to throw the ball as well as I would like to. That was the only year that I missed the state cut as a singles competitor. So freshman year was a little bit of a struggle. Made it to state sophomore, junior, and senior year. Sophomore year and senior year with the team, and then the other years as a singles competitor. You know, and we didn't do as well my sophomore year, and then my senior year, we were the 1 seed going into the championship match. Ended up being the state runner up, but you know, I would say we certainly had a decent high school program for sure.
Yeah. When it came time, you know, to graduate and kind of move on to the next step in your life, you had mentioned that, you know, you got recruited by
Mhm.
Robert Morris in Whitewater, made that decision that that school wasn't really for you. Um, I was asking Sean Walkner about you because I noticed you guys are friends on Facebook, and he mentioned that you did actually come to Whitewater, but made that decision and left before classes started. He did say that you were one that he wishes would have stayed on, as he always knew you were a great player. Um, what was that decision like to make? I would think that that's kind of heavy, you know, for someone who's maybe 18 years old, you know, fresh out of high school, to say, okay, this is the direction I'm going with my life, not just bowling, and I got to do it now.
Yeah, I mean, that might be one of the biggest regrets I think of my life.
Yeah.
You know, not being able to kind of stick it out. Um, you know, but ultimately, the decisions you make affect your future. So, would I be here if I didn't make that decision? Who knows? But you know, it certainly kind of does suck, you know, to kind of see the successes that Whitewater has done. And Sean is a great person, great coach. You know, obviously, I wish I would have been able to bowl under him. Every time I see him, though, you know, we have you know, great conversations. But yeah, I mean, it was a very, very heavy decision and very, very hard. You know, I can't say whether I would have been a great college bowler or not, but you know, it certainly would have been an incredible experience to be able to bowl collegiately for sure.
Yeah. So after you made that decision, I'm assuming you head back to Elkhart Lake. And where does your bowling journey take you from there?
From there, you know, I'm kind of, I wouldn't say in a funk, but you know, obviously you got to realize what you want to do with your future.
Mhm.
You know, so I went, like I said, I kind of toyed around with a local tech college. I am in my time away from the bowling alley. I'm a volunteer firefighter. Was
Oh,
a volunteer first responder at that point as well. So I went to school for firefighter paramedic. I realized after 1 semester with that I wanted to keep it a hobby. I didn't want to kind of go down that career path. So I entered in a little bit more of a business management sort of field. Um, you know, but again, I don't like school. I don't know what
mhm.
it is about school. I don't like it. I don't like testing. I don't like all that kind of stuff. So you know, kind of made the decision to, you know, just work here. And you know, obviously I just became sort of a league bowler. You know, obviously everybody league wise is are looking for people. So obviously I became a hot commodity when it came to I want to bowl full time for leagues. You know, so I settled into a couple teams and obviously just bowled league and worked here. And the pro shop kind of came up in 2018. The previous pro shop owner kind of was going to make a quick exit. So you know, I had 1 year to kind of mentor under him, and then the pro shop was mine in summer of 2019. So that kind of came quick. I had to learn a lot in a short amount of time, but you know, obviously it's been a lot of fun to be able to do this. So since school, it's basically just been the lanes. The lanes is my life.
Yeah. How difficult was that for you to, you know, to go from, you know, bowling center worker and league or tournament player to ball drilling, which is really, at least from the outside looking in, a precise job.
It, it's very precise, and I've been very, very lucky to have such patient customers. Because you know, I kind of look back at the first couple balls that I drilled or whatever, and It's just like I shake my head. It's like, what were you thinking when you did that? But I have not taken a class, so I am 100% self-taught. A lot of hours just reading and YouTube and that sort of thing to kind of get to where I am. But like I said, I can't say enough about, you know, such great customers that I have, because again, they're so patient. They're so willing to work with me. If something's not quite right, they don't just, kind of badmouth me. We're in here working on what can make it better, and just kind of focusing on, just better ways to make my drilling a little bit more precise and work a little better for customers. There's certainly things that I struggle with. I think, someone that has more of a spinner type ball motion, or a spinner type kind of axis rotation, I kind of struggle with kind of laying out their equipment yet. Kind of getting there, but still working through a couple kinks. But yeah, I mean, and I have great friends as well. Stephen Kerf Jr. has helped me out quite a bit. When I have questions, I like to rattle them past him and just kind of get his inquiries, and I just have a great kind of support system to be able to get myself through it. So I know if I have questions, there's a lot of different people that I can reach out to kind of get the answer and get the best equipment that I can in people's hands.
Sure. The name Firehouse Pro Shop, does that kind of originate from that that love of volunteer firework?
Yeah, I wanted to incorporate my two passions kind of into one. So when I was thinking of names, Firehouse Pro Shop just kind of kept rising to the top, and I couldn't quite get it out of my head. So Firehouse Pro Shop just kind of stuck.
Yeah, that's great. So, how about in the competitive sense, other than leagues? I mean, obviously, you do tournaments. We've discussed a little of that, through the course of this. Did you ever see yourself, in the past few years, even, thinking, hey, I want to give regionals a try. I want to give the tour a try. Anything like that?
Yeah, I did a couple regionals throughout this last summer. I did one in Illinois. I can't exactly remember. Peru, Illinois. I did a regional down there. Finished midfield. So obviously for your first regional, you can't complain with that. I guess the other regional, if you can kind of call it a regional, was I did the Peterson with that PBA regional sort of group. That was my first time ever doing the Peterson, and quite the experience, obviously. But that one I didn't fare quite as well, but the Peterson is a different animal. But certainly in the future, for sure. I think once they put their regional schedule out again, I'm certainly going to look at what kind of events I can pair up with my schedule. But there's certainly a drive and a desire to get out there and do the tournaments. But I think everybody kind of knows, especially in the bowling industry, that employees are hard to come by. So there aren't necessarily weekends that I can just scoot away and go bowl a tournament. I mean, especially being a family owned and operated establishment, it's hard to find the employees to get in here to be able to do that kind of stuff, or bartend or work for you, so that you can go out and kind of chase your dream, that sort of thing. So you kind of have to balance the work with the pleasure. So I'm hopefully this summer that I can get out there and maybe tour stop. I think they have the summer swing, but we'll just kind of have to wait and see how the schedule works out.
Yeah, that last part you kind of froze up a little bit. You said something about the summer swing.
Yeah, I think they have a summer swing, so maybe we could we could find a national tour stop that kind of works out with the schedule. But for sure, definitely a couple regionals this summer.
Okay, good deal. We can't sit here and avoid the 900 for the whole episode, so I'm gonna have to get into that. But let's start with kind of the lay of the land. You shot it on lanes 11 and 12, and this whole episode is called the End Pair. What is it about that pair that is so conducive to scoring?
If I had an answer, I'd tell you. But I've had a lot of honor scores on 11 and 12. I know you either love 11 and 12 here, or you absolutely hate it. I know there's one bowler here. He used to be incredibly, incredibly good. Not saying he's terrible now, but he used to be definitely one of those bowlers that was well known, especially in the county. But he absolutely hates 11 and 12.
Okay.
He kind of snarls every time he walks in and sees he's on 11 and 12. But and myself and my dad, we absolutely love 11 and 12. My first ever 300, so practice, league, whatever, was on lane 12. I did that on a Friday night, shot 300 again Saturday night on 12. So 11 and 12 has just been conducive. And I don't know if it's because, you kind of have that air wrap around, kind of come off the wall or whatever the case is. I'm certainly not a scientist. I hate school. So obviously I have no idea what kind of makes it tick, but it seems like if there's ever a high score, there's a good probability that's probably on 11 and 12.
Sure. Before your 900, there was an 899 on 11 and 12.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was shot by John Rice. That was, I believe, in 1999 or 2000, right around that turn of the century mark. He went 300, 299, 300. He's certainly a good bowler in his own right. He's left-handed. You can take that as you might. But he is, like I said, certainly a good bowler in his own right. He obviously had a great night as well with the 899.
Yeah. So take me through the 900 night. It's, I believe, November 16th of just this past year.
Mm-hmm.
We're, month and a half, couple months of, depending on your league schedule into the season. Take me through kind of the progression. What did you feel that night? How did it go for you through, games 1 and 2, and then of course 3?
The funny thing is kind of leading up to that, I had a conversation with my girlfriend. We just bowled county match, and I wouldn't say I struggled through county match. I just didn't bowl up to my standards. And, I had a conversation with her the night after county match and just said, this isn't going how I thought it would. I'm a couple months into signing with Storm. And I feel frustrated with my game. I feel like my mechanics are off, I felt frustrated. I would say that would have been the second night I started working on a couple different mechanics. I was slowing my feet down. I was just trying to be more consistent, more fluent, and just more, I'm not trying so hard, essentially. So, started out that night. I struck all 6 balls in practice to start. Using the idle Helios, which I had for about a week and a half, 2 weeks at that point. I had 1 game in it. I certainly liked what I saw with the Helios. It gave me a great ball reaction. So kind of came out of the gates firing, shot 300, had a good inclining about the night. There was someone else here that night, kind of a bowler that's been around for a long time, one of the well-known kind of bowlers out of Anchor here in Clint Kilb. He looked at my dad. He was just there watching, and he looked at my dad that night and said, he's going to have a big one tonight. Never said it to me, so I never heard it, but I think it started to kind of sink in at the opportunity that was at hand, sort of in the 7th frame of the second game, through some really kind of awful shots in the 10th frame of the second game. I think I pulled the 11th shot in the second game. I don't remember exactly what I did. That's where I marvel at some of the people that can just go through their whole block and remember exactly what they did.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have that kind of memory. I don't know how you guys are remembering this.
Neither do I, because I can't remember, shot by shot what I had last league night or yesterday.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
But then I remember the last shot in the 10th for the second game, and I tripped a 4-pin. That was probably the shot that certainly could have gone either way. So I definitely got a break there. Didn't throw the ball great through the third game. I know there was a couple shots that I pulled. There was a couple shots that I got outside. But that's kind of where the good ball reaction of the Helios kind of came in. It's a ball that it really stays in play the entire night. It's not a ball that is going to jump off the spot and go through the nose and give you a big, ugly split. And it's a ball that has enough teeth to kind of get through the oil when you pull it. So kind of got into the 10th frame. Oh, look at here. You got it ready to go.
I had my finger on the trigger the whole time. So, so maybe you can kind of talk us through here.
Yeah. That one I thought was probably one of the better shots I threw that night, and I thought I aced that one off my hand. And I know there's a couple people that have mentioned how quickly I threw this 10th frame as well. They say that, they got to come back. They got to really collect themselves and regain their composure. For me, I want to keep going. So that way those thoughts kind of don't creep into my head. I'm better when I don't think that much. So
yeah, everybody's process is a little different.
Exactly. So I was just trying to keep going, kind of keeping a rhythm. I know this 11th shot was pulled by a lot. And when I say a lot, probably 2-3 boards inside. Seeing that, maybe 4. 8-10 was the last to go there, and I remember seeing those, and it's like, oh no, what kind of heck am I going to get for leaving an 8-10 on the front 34?
Right.
So,
but then in a matter of seconds, you've got to collect yourself and get ready for, I'm assuming, the biggest shot of your life.
Absolutely. And, when you're kind of throwing these shots, you don't really want to get up there and throw it. You're kind of content with having 35 in a row. So we're getting up there to throw this shot, and my feet got a little fast. My balance wasn't that great. That's kind of why I walked 7 lanes down, but it was just an indescribable feeling to come back. And just having all the hands in your face ready to give you a high five. It's, obviously an indescribable feeling.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that was your dad that was shooting the video. You've got friends, other family there too?
Yeah. I don't think my mom even really knew what was, she was behind the bar bartending.
Okay.
So I don't even think she knew what was going on until my dad went up and told her in like the 8th frame of the 3rd game. Because she's working around trying to make pizzas, bartend, that sort of thing. So I don't really think she knew what was going on. But I gotta say, it's always fun to have your family there. My family was there when I shot my first 300 in competition, which was actually in a BYBT tournament down in Madison. So that was my first 300 was actually during a tournament. So I remember the first thing I looked for when I shot that 300 was my dad to come back and give him a hug. And that was the first thing I did when I shot the 900 is obvious. I mean, obviously you got to give 5s on the way back, but the first thing I wanted to do when I shot the 900 was go back and give my dad a hug, because it's really fun to be able to share those moments with your family.
Yeah, for sure. So everybody celebrates. You've got the 900. But then there's that issue of, okay, the USBC needs to certify this. So what happens in that process, and how long did it take?
The process honestly wasn't that long. Obviously, I got inundated with phone calls, phone calls, text messages, that sort of thing. I think it was the next day I woke up to an email from Aaron Smith from USBC, just reaching out for an interview request. And I did the interview with him, and towards the end of the interview, he just mentioned, he said, basically all we're waiting for is the paperwork. Nobody's going to come out and tape the lanes, certify the lanes, that sort of thing. I mean, obviously we knew our shop is that worry of just the hassle of people coming in and kind of certifying the lanes. So, Aaron just said, there's no worries. We're just waiting for the formalities and paperwork. He said, once it's through, you're the 38th perfect series to be thrown. So, I would say once we got past that, the process got a lot easier for sure, as far as the USBC portion.
Yeah, I'll say. Sean said he was one of them who reached out to congratulate you. I asked him what his thoughts were, and he said that his first couple of thoughts were how boring that night of league must have been, not having to shoot any spares, but also the immense amount of pressure that must have been there, the entire last game, especially in the 10th frame. Looking back, does it feel different now than it did then, or has it been relatively the same for you as far as that, remembering that pressure?
I won't lie, I kind of blacked out the last game, so to say. So I can't remember, exactly what those feelings were like. I do remember there was certainly quite a bit of pressure, but also, like I said, I don't like to think, obviously when it comes to sort of those pressure moments. So at that point, I was just trying to kind of keep my mind off of what was going on, and just kind of focus on, just keeping my heart rate a little on the lower side. Obviously, it's going to be beating out of your chest, but just try and do what you can to kind of keep it on the lower side, and just kind of focus on your mechanics. Usually for me, when I get nervous, my feet get fast. So every time I was going out there, I was just trying to tell myself to keep your feet slow, and just make sure you get your thumb out of the ball nice and clean, and give it a chance to strike. So that's what I did. Certainly a lot of pressure, but looking back on it, I'm glad I'm certainly glad I didn't let it affect me probably the way it could affect other people.
Yeah. How about that ball? What did you do with it? Did you keep throwing it? Did you put it somewhere?
I did use it one other time after that. I wanted to shoot a ball review for the Idle Helios. I have my own YouTube channel where I do ball reviews and that sort of thing. So I wanted to crank out a review quick because actually, I think it was a week and a half after I shot the 900, I was flying to Colorado. My girlfriend's from Colorado, so we were flying out there for Thanksgiving. So I wanted to kind of have something to do while I was out there on some downtime. So I wanted to shoot those reviews quick. I didn't want to wait. So Storm was obviously, they've been incredible throughout that entire process. And my sales rep, Matt Gasson, obviously incredible throughout the entire process. So they actually sent me two Idle Helioses to replace that one that I shot 900 with. So, but again, I didn't want to wait for that. So I shot the ball review. But then after that, I signed it, and now it's actually in a case here at the bowling alley. The Sheboygan Bowling Association was incredibly, again, really great through the entire process, and they actually bought me a ball case to put the ball in. So the ball is in a ball case sitting by our bowling counter, and it's never going to leave that ball case anymore.
Okay. So really the only time to see it, in its original state is in this picture that you provided, right? Just like that?
Yeah. That's it. That's obviously right after I shot 900. I think I did post a picture, and I think Rotogrip did share it to their Facebook page of, obviously the signed ball. But yeah, I mean, I'm lucky my dad said, hey, get up on the approach real quick. Let's take a picture. Because otherwise, I mean, I wouldn't have even thought anything of it. So he grabbed me, took the picture quick. So yeah, I mean, that's the only picture from that night, besides my girlfriend took a picture with me as well that night. But I don't have too many pictures from that night.
Yeah. I get that. I mean, that's probably not top of mind unless you're one of those people who, takes pictures of everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and that's certainly something we got into. We obviously like capturing the moments. So obviously, anytime somebody shoots 300, 800 here, we're obviously always taking videos and doing that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly one of the first things, obviously, to come to mind after I shot 900 was, I can't remember if I called my girlfriend or I texted her, but she was obviously the first one on my mind when I shot it. And then the second text went to my sales rep, the person that signed me, Matt Gasson. I just sent him a text saying, thank you for signing me. It means the world to me. And, obviously with the best equipment in the world, I went out and shot 900 tonight. He actually sent me a text right after. He goes, literally, I just had your contact information up and I was just about to call you because he had a group chat going with some of his friends, some of the Robert Morris graduates. Said there was a gentleman from Michigan that said, hey, there's some guy that just shot 900. And Matt was like, oh, who was it? And he goes, his name was Cody Schmitt. He was like, I just signed that guy like in September. So, we chatted a little bit that night. But yeah, I mean, just the whole night was kind of just flew by. Like I said, just inundated with calls, texts, friend requests. I think I have 200 friend requests on Facebook that I haven't even looked at yet. But, the whole process after has been certainly overwhelming for sure, but it's been a lot of fun as well.
I think I'm probably mixed in there among the crazies that requested your friendship, but
I didn't even see yours.
There's too many of them. But
Yes.
That kind of leads to the question that I was thinking of is, tell me your thoughts on, on how fast this news spreads, because really unlike any other time before this, before the advent of social media. It takes a while for news to spread like that. I mean, I'm sure I didn't find out about Jeremy Sonnenfeld's 900 for, a week.
Yeah.
But by the next day, it seemed like that's all anybody was talking about, and I'm a good 300 miles away from you.
Yeah. And obvious. Oops, sorry about that. I didn't mean to bump the computer. I like to talk with my hands, apparently.
That's good.
But the first obviously, Matt found out about it from a guy from Michigan. So he's obviously very ingrained with what I do. So for him to find out from a guy from Michigan is obviously, the news spreads fast and it spreads like wildfire. I can't remember exactly how many views or shares or whatever we have on the video, but it's definitely in the 6-figure mark for sure. The funny part is, because of this, our Anchor Lane's Facebook page has gotten inundated with views and likes and that sort of thing. So people are commenting on stuff that happened years ago, so actually one of the videos, the most viewed video on our page right now, isn't even of my 900 or any of my 300s. It's of a 300 that was shot by Debbie Meyer here during, I think it was the women's match. And there's still people commenting on that. I think she's almost to 500,000 views just on that video. So
wow.
my dad saw her when we had city tournament here a while back. He said, because of Cody's 900, he made you famous because you have more views than he does. So, obviously technology is a blessing and can be a curse sometimes, but technology is really obviously helped with this whole situation. So it's certainly cool to get your name out there. Obviously when you're a kid growing up, it's something you dream of, to kind of be a household name sort of in the bowling industry. So I think the coolest thing for me was to have, obviously, Jason Belmonte shared it. Kyle Troop talked about it a couple times. Those are a couple player of the years and a couple of the greatest bowlers on the planet right now. Being able to say your name, is something that's incredibly humbling and something that's obviously incredibly cool for sure.
Sure. But then along with that come the expectations, right? Probably from yourself as well as everybody else. Okay, now I got to get back out there and put up more high scores. And you've done that. You've done that, in spades. Tell me, run down what these weeks since then have been like.
So obviously when you're on staff with someone, as I am with Storm, you want to showcase the products that they're coming out with. Mm-hmm. So once I shot the 900 and realized, okay, well, obviously I can't throw that ball anymore. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. And, the Helios wasn't the only ball being released on, I think it was November 19th. They also had the Rubicon UC3 coming out, which mm-hmm. is urethane. So, and I was talking with Chris Schlemmer, who is the brand manager for Rotogrip. He said, not people's most first thought, after shooting 900 is, let me throw urethane and leak. But it was the fact that I wanted to showcase what these balls can do. And obviously I shot 853 with the UC3, 2 days after shooting 900. So that was obviously, that whole 2 week span, I was just having an out of body experience with how it was bowling. Shot 853 with the Helios. Then all of a sudden I got, the 2 new releases from 900 Global in the Altered Reality and the Wolverine. So I threw the Altered Reality that following Tuesday and shot 837 with that. Then on Thursday I shot 300. I had 790, 796, 794, something like that with the Wolverine, and shot 300 with it. So it's always fun. Obviously you get giddy when you get these new releases from Storm or the Storm family. Obviously it's cool to be able to throw it before everybody else. Obviously you want to build up hype and showcase the balls before obviously the public can get them. But, and there might be people that get a little upset with that and the fact that, I can use equipment before anybody else can. But, obviously the 900 did wonderful things for the Helios kind of with selling them. Obviously the Helios has been the best selling ball that I've had in the pro shop. But obviously, like I said, I don't want to showcase I want to showcase all of the balls that the Storm family is coming out with, and that's what I did. And I certainly think in that point in time, they were coming out with just some absolutely incredible rocks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. So you mentioned several other 300s this season. I want to say you're up to 6 this season in total.
Yep.
Okay.
6 is the number.
So that kind of, got my mind thinking, and I'm thinking, how many is the most in a season in Wisconsin? So I asked Doug Schmidt, and he said that as of his 10-pin journal records through last year, Al Zeitz Jr. is still the state record holder with 24 during 2000 and 2001. And Al has been challenged to appear on this program. So Al, if you're watching, reach out, because, I need some guests here. But I mean, knowing what you know, and have had, all that success that you've had this season so far, and it's not over yet. There's plenty of time. You can rattle off 18 more, right?
18 more is going to be a struggle. I don't have any honor scores since the new year started. I've been close. I mean, I've been throwing the ball really, really well as of late. I've had 770, 780, 790 since coming out of the new year, but I just haven't been able to put a spectacular game together or put 3 good games together. It's always just one break here, one break there. I certainly don't think I'm going to get to the 18 or the 24. I'm sorry, but I'm hoping to at least put together at least 1 or 2 more throughout the season. But more or less, I wouldn't say I'm really, starstruck by some of the records. My eye isn't really on the records. My eye is on kind of these tournaments coming up, like we talked about, where I got state coming up the second weekend of March, and then going out to the Open Championships at the end of April. So, I wouldn't say I'm set on the records. I'm set on, really just kind of going out there and really performing at some of these tournaments.
Yeah. How has bowling in the Open Championships in the past been for you? I mean, you mentioned you're going out there. I'm assuming you've been out there before, correct?
Yeah, I've taken home some checks from the Open Championships. I would say my best performance was actually the first year that I bowled in it. I want to say it was 2017 or 2018. There were some guys out here that just needed a sub, so I went out there. Team and doubles wasn't quite great. Team, I had obviously a 500, which who can expect anything less when it's your first time going out there in your first series. But doubles, I think I had a low 6, and then the lanes opened up for me really, really well for singles, and I had a 7. It was a low 7, but then I tied for 130th with Stu Williams. So, that was certainly really cool, and kind of one of the highlights, I guess, at that point was, obviously being tied with a PB professional after the Open Championships and taking home 130th, which is kind of my highest finish to this point. But, hopefully with, some newfound confidence, so to say, being able to throw kind of the best equipment in the game, hopefully we can, start kind of improving on those performances this year and kind of going forward.
Sure. And the other thing you've got to look forward to is the remainder of the high school season, as you are a coach for Elkhart Lake Glen Beulah. Tell me what that's like being, coaching that team. I mean, Sean even said it takes a special person to give back and coach, and that you certainly fill that description. But I'm guessing that can only kind of get you so far. And in the heat of battle, it takes something else, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the kids see me more as like an older brother rather than, sort of say a coach or, a dad figure or something like that. We certainly have a lot of banter going back and forth. We like to joke around and have fun, but I think at the end of the day too, we've gotten ourselves in a really great position here, and we've had some good finishes in the past. Like I was telling you before, 2 years ago, we took 3rd place at the state championship for Division II. Last year we took second place. We were runner up. So, it's only fitting that obviously we bring home some hardware this year, but that being said, we've also had our fair share of difficulties. Obviously, COVID is an extremely difficult sort of time to be taking place in bowling. Obviously, last year we actually did all virtual meets, so we had that. This year is kind of back to a sense of normalcy, and I think the kids really do enjoy that. We had some tough losses this year, but I think it's only fired them up a little bit more. So hopefully we go to the state championship, and hopefully we come out with some hardware. But we have 3 seniors this year, and there's nothing that I want more than to kind of send them out with a bang as well. So really looking forward to it. But I think right now it's all business and just trying to kind of grind their way and just focus on getting better and building up some good mechanics going into the championship.
Yeah, well said. Do you drill your own equipment?
I do, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and I would say I have some sort of obsession with bowling balls. I mean, I have every new release I do get from Storm. I like to get them, but I think it helps me in the way that it helps me learn what these balls do, so I know what customers they're going to fit and what customers maybe they won't fit. As well as I like putting out the ball reviews. So obviously I like to get to know the ball, showcase it in a video, get that out kind of before the release date, and kind of build up hype for the company as far as that way. But I do drill my own equipment. It's a lot of fun. I actually have a Zen sitting around the corner that I got to drill. Might drill it tonight or tomorrow. But yeah, drill my own equipment, and I love drilling. It's a lot of fun. It's a good way, especially when I'm kind of struggling with life a little bit. It's fun just to kind of get away from all of it, get in the pro shop, just kind of put some music in and just focus on cranking out some equipment. So I enjoy it. There's a couple people that enjoy it as well. There's one thing that I hate, and that's kind of plugging equipment. It's just so much of a hassle and a little time consuming, but obviously you got to get that done as well. But yeah, I mean, having the shop, I absolutely love having the shop. It's nice to get in here and get away from everything and just kind of focus on what's going on in here.
Yeah. And I would think, it's easy to sit here and say, oh, the future's bright because, you're the pro shop operator. But with all that stuff in the rearview mirror, the big series, the high scores, the attention on social media, you can't help but think good things are on the way coming up, right?
That would certainly be the hope. Obviously I would love it to be that way. But in the same regard, you kind of have to focus on the here and now. And I'm just grateful to be a part of Storm, because without them, this probably wouldn't have been possible. To be part of the I Am Bowling family and the Logo Infusion family, without them, this might not have been possible either. So, right now it's just kind of focusing on, we got great equipment coming out. We got some other balls that are coming out. The Phase 4 comes out this week. So my attention is just kind of focusing on social media and just trying to help them kind of sell equipment and get the ball in the hands of people that know how to strike with it.
Yeah, well said. You've seen our show once or twice before. You know that we do a segment called Off the Sheet. And what that means is we ask you to challenge somebody else, and skill level, you can kind of throw that out the window. We look for people who are passionate about the sport and have a unique story to tell, which, let's face it, we all do. So Cody Schmitt, who would you like to challenge to be on a future episode of Bowling with the Fef?
Well, I know I saw in a past episode that someone challenged Steve Klemkin to come on the show, and I think I saw he did reach out to you to come on the show. I'm going to challenge another. Go ahead.
I was going to say he's on the books. He's scheduled.
That's perfect. So I'm going to challenge another person from that Storm family. I'm going to challenge Chris Schlemmer to come on the show. He is the mastermind behind the Rotogrip brand. I've sat down and talked to him a couple times on the Rotogrip page. And the amount of knowledge that is in that guy's brain is astronomical. And I think you guys would have a great conversation as far as, where the industry is going, the brain power and the thought behind how these balls are made nowadays. So I've had great conversations with him. He is just an incredible person. So I challenge the Schlem, Roto Schlemmer, to come on the show with you.
Well, that's great. Yeah, and this is the first time he's been challenged. So, Chris, if you're watching this either live or on replay, and you're interested in taking Cody up on his challenge, be sure and reach out. You can find me on Facebook. My name is Andrew Pfeffer, or you can email bowlingwiththepfeff@yahoo.com, and we would love to get you on the schedule. Cody, it has been a blast getting to know you and your bowling story, and of course that big 900 from late last year. Congratulations on your successes, and best of luck, not only in individual competition and in the business, but also with those kids.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And what you're doing here, this podcast is, every little bit kind of helps with growing the sport. And this is a great show. And I thank you for letting me come on. It was an honor and a privilege.
Thank you. Means a lot coming from you. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will be back next week with another live stream. From there, be just and fear not. We hope to see you again next week.